After weeks of devising detailed manifestos, intense planning and a full-on week of campaigning, the candidates have finally made it to results night. Thousands of students have casted their votes, and in half an hour's time, we'll find out which 16 candidates have been elected to represent you over the next year. This is the Guild Elections Results Night 2018. A month after nominations were submitted tonight, the Guild of Students will reveal which candidates have been elected into office. 16 elected officers will run our Guild, with a new officer breakdown marking 118 years of office. Joining us live in the debating hall will be our correspondent Charlotte Minter.
Of course, emotions will be running high in what will be an unforgettable night as we find out who will have the power to make the changes you want. I'll be keeping track of the results of all 16 positions and following the latest reactions.
Also tonight, voter turnout from the College of Medical and Dental Sciences continues to be low, but what can be done to engage medical students?
And the reasons for that are complicated, but first and foremost, although as students at the University of Birmingham, we're all technically members of the Guild of Students, MedSock as an entity and as a society is actually completely separate and independent.
The team have stylishly finished their term in office with a set of fun tasks which involve running around the Guild, tea and a cuddly toy. And it's 3 minutes past 7, and welcome to the Guild Elections Results Night. We are live from the Guild of Students here, where you'll be finding out which candidates you have been elected to run the University of Birmingham Guild of Students over the next academic year. 50 candidates have been asking for your vote, competing for 7 full-time and 9 part-time roles. Throughout tonight's programme, we'll be bringing you the analysis of the campaign week and the thoughts of our current officer team. I'm also joined by 2 political analysts. We have Burn FM's Ben Henley-Washford and we have Ed Redbrick's Aaron Santillo. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, guys.
Thank you. No worries at all.
So first of all, I'm going to start with what was your overall impressions of the election and have you got any striking moments for yourselves?
I think it's been a really successful election. I think we've had the highest voter turnout in 5 years, I believe. And just in terms of covering it as media groups, it's been really enjoyable. I think striking moments, there's got to be the officer shake-up right at the start, when we all discovered that the roles this year are going to change. Because, of course, we have the international officer that's now full-time, etc., and the merger of welfare and community. I think also the presidential debate on Monday was not only heated, but really, really useful, not just to discover policies, but personality as well. Yeah,
we're going to be touching on the full-time and the officer shake-up overall a bit later on today. But Ben, your thoughts, sorry.
Yeah, completely echo what Erin just said. It's been a fantastic election. I've really enjoyed covering it with Burn FM. The debate on Monday was excitingly heated. I think a lot of I wouldn't say tempers got frayed, but things got close. And then we also ran our own debate with Redbrick and Burn on the radio, and that was a good chance to get a bit more sort of one-on-one, a bit less strict with the timings. So it has been a fantastic experience. And yeah, the welfare and community obviously creating a lot of debate, but I'm sure we'll touch on that a bit later on.
Yeah, and I mean, really quickly, a big thing that's happened this week is this Beast from the East, as it's been entitled, or Storm Emma. How much has that had to play with? I mean, it's caused chaos. Just really quickly, what are your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, it's been shocking. I've seen people campaigning out in the snow, out in the cold in just a T-shirt. I mean, they've put so much work into it. I'm sure they'll just hope that they can get the results they want.
Yeah, last year we had Storm Doris, I think. This year it's much colder, a little windier. It's just impressive that candidates are even going out there at 8:30 in the morning and campaigning.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been banners at door as normal. There's been banners. There's been people with pirate hats flying around. So had great fun. But no, thank you so much, guys. We'll be with you really quickly later on. You guys can get involved back at home too and let us know your thoughts. Maybe feel that the Guild has little impact over your student experience, or perhaps you believe the Guild election officers really do represent students. Either way, let us know on Twitter using the hashtag GuildElections2018. So the time is now 6 minutes past 7, and the results will be announced from our half past 7 onwards. And keeping track of this is Charlotte, who is outside the debating hall. Charlotte, it seems to be a lot more people are now in the hall ahead of the announcements.
Yes, there is a hall full of nervous people anxiously waiting for those results after spending weeks planning and campaigning, but let's meet someone who helped those candidates win votes. Here with me now is Dan Wootton's campaigner, Luke Bosher. So Luke, being a campaign manager is such an integral role in each candidate's campaign. What exactly does this role involve?
Well, I think at sort of this level of politics, it's about just being someone who Dan can bounce ideas off of and sort of kind of give advice and guidance to, because it's not like I'm a spin doctor here or anything. I'm just trying to be a mate and always be there to help him out should he struggle for anything or need see if something needs to go illegal.
And what's been your favourite part of the election and the run up to the campaign? What's been your favourite part of organising it all?
I don't know. I would say just the whole week. The way this voting week's gone really quickly, and sort of everything that we were sort of thinking about and talking about before then sort of culminates, and it's gone I'm doing 12-hour days on campus, but it's felt really quick. So I'd just say this whole week.
Do you think that perhaps campaign managers go unnoticed because they're obviously a lot behind the scenes? Do you think that's unfair, or are you happy to let Dan take the limelight?
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted the limelight, I'd probably run for Guild Pres. I'm happy to be behind the scenes, and the people who matter know what I've done and how much I've helped, I hope.
So it hasn't inspired you to run for officer? Do you have any future plans to do that?
No, I don't know. I've definitely become more involved in Guild politics in the last month than I have previously, and that I thought. But in a year's time, who knows?
Yeah. And how's Dan repaying you for all your hard work?
Hopefully, if he wins, he'll continue to be good for Burn FM, which is a society that's very close to my heart. But a pint of Joe's is all I require.
That's great. So that's Luke Bosher, who's Dan Wootton's campaign manager. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, campaign managers can have a grueling and thankless job, but all will be revealed in just a few moments as we find out who has been elected and who has just missed the post.
Thank you, Charlotte. So it's just coming up to 9 minutes past 7. And up next, are you voting for change? This week, 8,160 students in total have taken to the polls to choose their officer who will next lead the Guild. But over the past 3 years, there have been a turnout from the College of Medical and Dental Sciences has been consistently low, with just 2% this year of biomedical students voting. So given such a low turnout from the school, how can the Guild fairly claim that it represents all students? Guild TV sent Catherine Myers to report.
In the past 3 years, fewer than 2% of the students in the medical school in each course use their vote. So the big question is, why aren't the students in the medical school voting for the Guild student officers? Although many key buildings for the medical school may be near one another, the medical school building itself is 0.6 miles from the Guild of Students. And you might not know that the medical students have their own MedSock, which has a large committee and various societies. For just £8 a year, 2,500 medical and dental school students are members, and they have access to over 70 societies, sports clubs, and charities. So how does MedSock interact with the Guild? We asked the president of MedSock, Dom Myers.
MedSock as an entity and as a society is actually completely separate and independent, largely because it's very well established and has been for years, and because it's so big. The founding principles of having a MedSock is that we like having our own societies, sports teams and charities that are specially tailored to our timetables, which are extremely busy, especially with coming back from placement and things. So most of the activities we tend to get involved in outside of school, as it were, tend to be based in the med school or just around our busy timetables, and that's basically the fundamental reason for having a MedSock.
Not as often, yeah. Not as often as I used to.
They are quite, I think the way I view them is they're very separate. So when I get to med school, it's all about medicine, it's all about MedSock.
I got an email about it, but I haven't really looked much into it. Is there a website for voting, or?
It's a bit more segregated, so if they emailed everything to us.
We're off the campus, or if they had posters or something around med school, that would have been better.
Most of the campaigning is happening on campus, whereas I don't know, I can't speak for the other students, but most of the students I know, we don't really go on campus. So therefore, maybe if they tried to campaign within med school, like some posters or, I don't know, something like that, then maybe we'd be a bit more aware about it, rather than just sending us emails.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
In order to encourage students from the medical school to vote in Guild elections, I think we have to collaborate more between the officers at the Guild and the MedSock committee members.
Unity. It's what we should be aiming for. Clearly, there's a lot of work to be done, not only to increase voter turnout in the Guild elections, but also to improve relations.
So just 12 months ago, we elected our current officer team. Well, to discuss the progress of their campaigns and this year's campaigns so far, and reflect on their term in office, we are joined by Shannon Farmer, our current Activities and Development Officer, and our current President, Ellie Keeler. Thank you ever so much for joining us tonight, both. So we'll start off really. We've just seen a quick short video about medical students, and we've got a really low figure on the medical students so far. So what are your thoughts on this and how we can engage more with the medical students?
Go on, you can.
Shall I go first? Well, in the last year and actually the year before, I've been working with the Medical Society, so MedSock, in terms of kind of helping them develop their society and kind of make sure that it's, really boringly, but like the governance of MedSock is kind of in line, so no one's personally liable for anything. So we've been working about how we can make sure that they are safe and their activity can go ahead legally and things like that. So we're hoping to start supporting them some more, and hopefully that will increase our engagement with MedSock as well. So I've been working with the current president Dom, and I just met the new president Lydia as well. So hopefully by building that relationship, we can carry on to go further as well.
That sounds really good. And Shannon, so we're not just talking about the medical students. There's been a low voter turnout for the whole of the guild. So do you think there's more that could be done, or what do you think you could do next? Any ideas?
I definitely don't think extending the election period anymore is a good thing. I think it's been really good this year having it 5 days. I don't really know. No, I don't know. I think all the candidates have done such a fab job of trying to get that many, however many people voted as it is.
I mean, you said it wasn't a good voter turnout, but like it actually really was an amazing voter turnout this year. We're really, really happy with it given the storm. So I think we've done a lot of things, and Jess did really well with getting those votes. So I would disagree with you and say it's actually a really good voter turnout.
Yeah. So I mean, have you got any sort of high points from this year's sort of candidates? Any high points of the campaign so far? The week you've had? 'Cause it's been a whirlwind of a week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the weather is a massive one. I remember, so Captain Collins coming up to the offices in just a t-shirt, like super hyper, and just like been out in the cold just in a t-shirt. That was a good moment. I don't know, what about you?
I just think credit to everyone who's gone out there and campaigned in the snow this week. It snowed a bit in my first election, so 2 years ago, but nothing like this, and I've honestly not been outside that much this week, so credit to them for trying to go in.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually been. I've been like sitting behind the computer and all.
I've been encouraging from behind the desk.
And I love all the memes as well. That was my favourite part.
There's been loads of memes and everything this year. So we've had videos of people dancing Harry Potter, somebody in a kilt. So like it's been a whirlwind. So do you think social media helps with any campaigns and how they work there?
Oh yeah, I think so. 100%. Everything's becoming more digital nowadays, and. Yeah, a lot of people don't like to stop and talk to you in the street because people know what they're doing now. But yeah, social media, it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with Shannon. Like live videos, like Facebook, you get a notification when someone goes live. You can really talk to a lot of people. Candidates get a budget as well that they can spend on their campaign. And I don't know about this year, but I used paid social media to kind of promote my campaign, and you did too. So it really, really works. It can really change. So because you can reach people that you can't possibly speak to 8,000 people in a week, even if you do stand out in the snow for the whole week. So social media really makes a huge difference.
Okay, well, thank you both for joining us tonight, taking your time out. I'll let you guys disappear and go up the depot ready for the finalists. But so we're going to quickly go to our candidate boards now. So we're going to quickly wrap up and show you all of the candidates this year. So for anti-racism and anti-fascism, I have Jennifer Chu, Janice Jackson, Ramato Saku. For commuter students officer, I have Jules Singh. For disability students, we have Shamima Akhtar and Jay Martin, who are running in parallel. Then we have ethical and environment officer, we have no nominations. Then we have the Ethnic Minority Students Officer. We have Fadwaz Ahmed, Caitlin Joseph, Aminat Onileri, and Damila Oileke. For the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Trans and Queer Students Officer, we have Sorcha Hughes, Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland also running in parallel, Hugo Snape and Josh Swanbro. For the Mature Student Officer, we have Lauren Kennedy. For the Trans Student Officer, we have Finn Humphreys. For the women's officer, we have Holly and Alif running in parallel, and Emily Petch. Okay, so moving on to our full-time roles, we have activities and employment full-time role. We have Curtis Collins, Robin McPherson, Matthew Mayer, Rachel Tyndall, and Federico Urcholi. Okay, for education officer, we have Adam Goldstone and Maximilian Palmer. And for international officer, we have 10 in total. We have Muhammad Afzal, Namrata Boyer, Mirabel Chu, Abu Bakar Garu, Sam Clement, Chad Moss, Pianfan Naksuk Paiboon, Chon Park, Yai Chong Chung, and Yang Yang. For postgraduate officer, we have Alice Matthews and Jessica Small. For sports officer, we have Rachel Potter, Simon Price, Zach Viney, and Kate Seary. For welfare and community officer, one of them, we have Joshua Williams, Lucy Rodier Baker, Izzy Belgrave, Emily Wigston, and Joe Cooper. And lastly, for our guild president, we have Chris Burnett, Harry Hall, Reese Roberts, and Dan Wootton. Okay, so thank you. Don't forget to joining in for the discussion too, using Guild Elections 2018 hashtag on Twitter. So we've got a few Twitters here at the moment. So we have Sarah Jones here. So really looking forward to tonight's coverage. So excited. So hopefully tonight's going to be really good. We have Emma Bells here, waiting for the results, rooting for my favourites. And then who else have we got here? We have Kerry Donahoe. So it was interesting how the snow influenced campaign week, Guild Elections 2018. So the snow has been crazy. It's been so busy this week. It's been brilliant. So the time is now 18 minutes past 7, and I'm going to head you over to Charlotte, who is up in the debating hall, and she's grabbed somebody just up there for you.
Thank you, Elliot. Yes, it's getting very exciting up here, but I've managed to grab Chris Ali, who is our current housing and community officer. Now, Chris, can you tell us a bit about what your role involves?
So my role involves quite a lot of different things. So it's looking after first-year students who live in halls and postgraduates as well. So it's looking after all the accommodation sites. On top of that, it's the great area that we all love, Selly Oak. So it's kind of looking at anything from crime and safety there to all the housing issues that people face and the environment and much, much more. So it's a fantastic, wide-varying role.
And would you recommend running for officer to any students out there that are thinking about it potentially?
Definitely. I think it's the most incredible opportunity you could ever get while studying at uni. It's a fantastic opportunity not only for yourself and your own personal development, but to represent so many different people, the different experiences you have. You can never imagine yourself being in anything like that while at uni, so I'd recommend it to everyone. And
how are you feeling tonight in comparison to how you felt this time last year?
I think a lot more reassured, a lot more relaxed. I think last year there was a lot of nerves going on, especially when the name came up on screen. But now it's great to see everyone coming this year, and hopefully they kind of enjoy the bit of that pressure, but now it's very relaxing. It's good to see everyone coming.
So do you have potentially a highlight of the year that stands out for you? Any particular achievement?
I think what I've learned so far is that the highlight's been kind of every single experience, every day, kind of the relationships and experience and learning from other people that you work with. And hopefully the highlights will be coming soon. I think I've had to learn a lot over these first 7 months, so the highlights will be coming soon.
That's great. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for your time. Now, the Deb Hall is filling up, which means that it's one step closer to the elections being announced.
There you go. Thank you ever so much, Charlotte. So Chris there spoke about sort of helping loads of different people and Chris having to learn, but also having sort of an amazing experience as an officer. So what does having a year off as an officer, as a full-time officer, how much does that help people sort of grow, and how much of an experience is it for them?
I think it's a massive experience. It's a growing experience, isn't it? It's a lot of responsibility, and suddenly, you have this whole campaign week where you make all these promises, and then suddenly you win. You've got to go and do what you say. And I think, it is a big moment in a person's life where suddenly it's not just writing about something or writing an essay or giving a presentation that has no repercussions. Suddenly, everything you do has repercussions, and you have a lot of people that you are responsible for what you've promised them. And I think it's a massive learning experience, and if you're up for the challenge, it can really, really help you in later life.
Yeah. I think people also forget that it is actually a full-time job. The candidates here tonight, there are so many of them running. Only one of them is going to get a job guaranteed for next year. It's quite a healthy salary. And yes, when they're sort of putting their campaigns together, they need to realise that they could actually win. They need to make these policies really feasible. And so I think that's probably something you need to feed in right at the start.
Yeah, and I mean, we only see the sort of the candidates really, but behind the scenes there is such a huge team working with them, sort of the candidate teams, and sort of helping them with the manifestos. So how much of a part are these teams towards a candidate?
From people that I've spoken to in candidate teams, it's been 12-hour days for 2 weeks on end now. It's not going home, it's not getting to eat proper meals. It becomes your life, and then at the end of it, it's not even necessarily you that gets the reward. It is just sort of the experience. But I suppose that can help if you do end up running for a position in the future. But so much work and not necessarily as much reward, but they definitely deserve a lot of credit because they are a big part of these campaigns.
Yeah, they're the ones sort of putting the videos together. They're the ones painting the signs. They're the ones putting the T-shirts on and running around campus in the snow alongside the candidates. So yeah, credit to them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about T-shirts. This year we had Robin Your Vote in sort of combat gear. And I mean, last year we had Henny Green dressed up as a hen for a week, if you remember that. So this year there's not been as many costumes from what we've seen. I mean, we had Captain Collins in his Captain hand things. But could this be something that costumes and nicknames are really defect from the seriousness of somebody's manifesto?
I think some campaigns have gone with sort of like a no gimmicks style.
I know Joe Cooper is...
Joe Cooper actually has gone no gimmicks Cooper. I think it's definitely a way of going about it. You need to, as well as putting your personality across, which a costume could help, you need to put your policies across as well. And maybe they were watching the ones last year and thought, yeah, wearing a costume is quite fun, but does it actually portray me as a serious candidate? I think you need to strike a balance.
I think it is tough. You've got to find that balance between people that are just going to vote because of the rewards that you get, you know, free pizza or free VKs, and they're going to be the ones that are going to just see a video on social media and think, I'll vote for him or her or them. And you have got to also strike a balance between, yeah, this is a serious job with serious responsibilities and I have to present myself as a serious politician, because that's what you are.
I'm going to touch on really quickly about the pizza and the freebies that have been offered, because this year's been a little bit of some uproar towards the pizzas, because the Guild said that everyone is going to get a free pizza if they voted, and when people turned up, it was only the first 1,000. So do you think this is going to affect the voting sort of next year and moving forward and the whole thing about Guild elections?
I remember a similar thing happening a year ago with Subway, and it was in the fine print, it's only the certain number of people. Obviously, it would be infeasible to have, you know, 10,000 free pizzas being given away. I think maybe the Guild has to be clearer with their communication, because people do, you know, whenever promises are made that don't get kept, it has a big effect on people's sort of commitment to Guild politics or any politics in general.
I don't think it will affect voter turnout next year too much, unless people remember that they were really angry about this pizza. Which, who knows, people...
It can be. It has a big effect on people's lives.
Really annoyed. So, I mean, this week has been crazy, from the pizzas to people dressing up and running chaos, and the snow as well. So speaking of the interesting night, we've got Wacky, Weird and Wonderful. We invited Ellie, Henny and Shannon to participate in Guild Masters, Guild TV's own version of Taskmaster.
Call a pizza place and order a pizza without mentioning the word pizza or any names of toppings.
Hi, I'd like to order one of the round things.
Sorry, what would you like to order?
I don't know what it's called. You know, they're like it's like made of dough and it's round and circular.
Pizza?
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah.
Are you sure you definitely want to order pizza?
Are you ordering any meal deals, pound offers, or...?
I'm ordering a 10-inch.
We don't do 10-inch pizzas, we do 9 or 12-inch.
Oh, okay, 12 is fine.
Hi, is this the Hut place?
It's Pizza Hut, yes.
Ah, fab. I was wondering if I could order, you know, like about a medium-sized, like round thing with, you know, that white stuff on, those balls and everything thrown on top. You know, the meat ones.
Which one, sorry?
Can I have like the meat one?
I don't know what I want on it.
Oh, okay. Let me pass it to my manager who can take an order.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what would you like to order? So you wanted a 12-inch, what kind of pizza would you like?
What do you have?
So you've got Big John Supreme.
Yeah, that one. Sorry, yeah, that one, please. Sorry, I meant Domino's. Sorry. I feel like the worst person in the world.
Put a teddy bear into the smallest gap you can find. You have 15 minutes.
Oh my god. Okay.
Right. Okay, me and Bernie the bear. I'm leaving the tea now. All right, off we go.
You've named the bear?
It's Bernie. Looks like a Bernie. Come on. Yes. Oh, come on. Bernie's hiding by the books.
Have you got any really small, like, gaps? Does this count as in?
Yes.
Oh shit, yeah, I was gonna say, he's trying to put it in. We're gonna message him later.
Oh no, it's working. Yes, Bernie. You can just see it like poking through.
Okay.
Oh, I've got Bernie if it's stuck. I hope you're not. I'm now stuck as well.
Task 3.
Throw a tea bag into a mug in the most imaginative way you have in 10 minutes. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Cool.
Oh, it's close. Shall I do it with my cardboard cutout?
I'm just going to let it brew for a bit in the ice. You know, just going to wait for a bit.
Does that count? Does that count? Yes, there you go.
Doors closed.
Oh, she's hot.
Second floor. Doors opening.
You know, it's been a long day, so it'll take a few attempts.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! There!
I think that's how, yeah, I'm not inventive. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so now for the results of our version of Taskmaster. So after some careful consideration, I have decided. So for the pizza tax, for pure sort of ingenuity and Ellie being just bold and saying she wanted not Domino's and it wasn't. So Ellie's going to win for the first point there for me. And the winner of the teddy bear task is definitely going to be Shannon with just an impressive 6 centimetres, which is very impressive. And then finally for the tea task, I'm really sorry, Henny, but I'm going to have to give it to Ellie. She threw it on top of her own cardboard cutout, so she definitely wins there. But we'd like to say thank you ever so much, Ellie, Henny and Shannon for being such amazing sports and participating in Guild Masters. So we're going to catch up with some of your tweets using the hashtag GuildElections2018. So the first one is we have Ben Sassoon. I hope the candidates are asked what they will do in the future if another Chamberlain Tower flood occurs again in the future. So that's a huge thing. Chamberlain Tower did flood this week, so that's been a really big thing with the snow. Next tweet we have is from a Henry Lawrence. So we have Simon says for sports officer, so much hard work and dedication. Never seen someone try so hard and want something so badly. We are 100% behind you, Simon. What a lovely, lovely tweet there for him. And lastly, we have Pauline Smith. So I wonder what the outcome will be tonight. I've been following the elections for weeks. So this has been a week long. It all builds up and things. It's been a crazy thing for me. So we're going to just touch up and just come over again on the candidate boards for this year's elections and candidates. Okay, so we have, for the first one, we have part-time anti-racism and anti-fascism. So we have Jennifer Chu, Janice Jackson and Ramato Sacco. For commuter students, we just have the one, so we have Jules Singh. For disability students officer, we have Shamima Akhtar and Jay Martin. Ethic and environmental officer, we have no nominations. For ethnic minority student officers, we have Fadwaz Ahmed, Caitlin Joseph, Aminat Oniliri, and Damiloa Oilecki. For the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and queer students part-time officer, we have Sorcha Hughes, Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland running in parallel, Hugo Snape and Josh Swanbro. For the part-time mature students officer, we have Lauren Kennedy. For the trans student officer, we only have the one, we have Finn Humphries. And the last part-time officer we have, for the women's officer, we have Holly and Alif running in parallel, and Emily Petch. So I'm now moving to our full-time officers. First up, we have Activities and Employability Officer. So we have Curtis Collins, Robin McPherson, Matthew Mayer, Rachel Tyndall, and Federico Ichuli. So for Education full-time officer, we have Adam Goldstone and Maximilian Palmer. For the international officer, we have 10 candidates in total for this. We have Muhammad Afzal, Namrata Boyer, Mirabel Chu, Abu Bakar Garu, Sam Clement, Chad Moss, Pian Fang Nank Suk Paiboon, Chon Park, Yai Chung Yang, and Yang Yang. So for postgraduate full-time officer, we have Alice Matthews and Jessica Small. And for the full-time sports officer, we have Zach Viney, Rachel Potter, Simon Says Price, and Kate Seary. And lastly, we have for the welfare and community officer, we have Joshua Williams, Lucy Blyder-Rodetcher Baker, Izzy Bygrave, Emily Wigston, and Joe Cooper. And finally, for the most important one, as we say of all, we have the full-time Guild President for the Guild of Students. We have Chris Burnett, Harry Hall, Reese Roberts, and Dan Whittam. Okay, so we're going to really quickly just catch up with some more tweets that have been flooding in through the whole show so far. So first up, Emma Bells, we have so excited. I mean, short, sweet, and straight to the point there, I tell you. So next up we have Luke. So hope Izzy Busy Bee gets the welfare position. There's loads of love for all of the candidates tonight. And we have Pauline Smith. So the atmosphere in the Deb Hall is electric. The anticipation is immense. So we are going to head up to the Deb Hall very shortly, where they're going to announce some winners. But first up, we're just going to talk about a little bit of changes that have happened between this year and last year. So one of the big changes is the international officer has moved from a part-time position to a full-time position. So what changes do you think this is going to cause and happen?
I'm hoping it will give a bit more representation to international students. Perhaps they felt with a part-time officer they weren't quite getting all of their points and views across right to the top of the guild. So I'm hoping a full-time officer will do that.
Yeah, I know for a couple of the officers that are the candidates saying that they didn't even know that there was an international officer. It just wasn't very well advertised, I suppose. So yeah, definitely making it full-time, giving it a proper bit of prestige should definitely help with any of their issues and help with integration as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very important thing because nearly over half of the students here at University of Birmingham are actual international students. So do you think they felt left out in the past years or so? What do you think?
Definitely, I think you get that impression. I think a lot of the presidents as well are running to sort of involve them more because you do get the impression that the focus is on undergraduates when lots of the university is made up by international and postgraduate students. So you need to involve them in sort of everyday practices, and this kind of move is definitely a good way of involving them in the guild, which is such a big part of everyday activities.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not the only change we've had this year from last year. We also had an introduction of a commuter students officer and also a trans students part-time officer as well. So what are your thoughts on these two positions individually?
I think it's fantastic. I think the world is changing and lots of progressive views, and I think you have to keep up with it, and it's good that the guild is doing that. I think it's all around a very good thing. Yeah,
I think it's, in terms of commuter students, another group of people who perhaps feel a bit left out of the community vibe. And so by having an officer there, a part-time officer, perhaps that will help some representation, some voices, so they feel like they're being heard.
I suppose one of the last changes we've had is we've had housing and welfare officers have been combined now as well. So do you think this is going to change? I mean, it's a full-time officer role still, but do you think it's a lot more work to put on? Do you think how they're going to deal with the extra work that they've now been put with?
I think personally that welfare has been a big issue this year. I'm sure everyone that goes to the university knows about it. It's been brought up at Vice Chancellor's question times. It's been brought up in lots of the presidential debates. So I think maybe giving more work to the welfare officer, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the candidates are up for the challenge. But personally, I think it's an interesting move, and I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah. It was a bit controversial at the presidential debate. I think all the presidents that were there sort of criticised it in a way. I think it is quite a large remit. They were two big roles with two massive remits anyway, and they're quite important student things for students' welfare, and then also combining that with, so you have the whole idea of mental health, combining that with crime and housing in Selly Oak and the Vale accommodation.
Yeah.
It seems to be quite a lot, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So another change that's happened is we've had the welfare has been such a huge problem that we've had over the past with the cuts that have all happened and everything. And a lot of the campaigners have actually included welfare and sort of changing the welfare things in different ways and things. So, I mean, we've had a look at a few of the candidates' manifestos. So how do you think some of the ideas that stand with how they're going to change the welfare and what they're going to do to improve it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot's being done. I think they're all very hot on it and they all seem to know their stuff. So I think whoever gets elected, good stuff is going to happen. I think lots of the presidents agreed with Dan Whitten's manifesto point of training big society heads to be welfare officers, someone that people can talk to. Because I think it is quite daunting to have to go and talk to a welfare officer. You want to talk to someone that you know. So I think hopefully something like that will get carried forward. Also just making sure that welfare officers have the funding they need. I think both Harry and Reese and Chris as well, just all making sure that the funding is transparent. And I think that's going to be the big thing that they're going to push for.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's the presidents are really pushing for sort of more mental health support. And you see it, we just chatted about the welfare and community officer. Perhaps they could work together.
Yeah.
So the Guild is all about teamwork. And so if they can combine, sort of balance their workload, sort of get some proper mental health in the university, I think would be a good point.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you give? You got any advice for people? Because I mean, this year's candidates is unfortunately over now. Any advice for next year's candidates? I mean, we're a long way in the future yet. But sort of anything that you thought worked really well this year that could be moved on till next year?
I think definitely sharp to media days, sharp to media events. It's a great way to sort of get your stuff out there, and it helps us, and we're trying to help you. I think social media, we've seen some videos go quite viral with thousands of hits from all the presidential candidates. And yeah, for me, when I was in first year and didn't really know about it, just people coming into my lectures, I always thought that was such a big deal, and you hear a name and it comes back to you. So I think lectures sort of getting out there in person as well is important.
Yeah, I think we touched on it earlier on as well, the idea of balancing personality and policies. You need to make sure you're out there. Everyone knows who your name is, but at the same time you need some proper policies that are not only feasible but are actually really exciting.
Yeah, completely agree.
So yeah, I think that's the big challenge.
And talking about personality, a lot of this year as well, there's been loads of videos that have gone through. So we've had, we've had Harry Potter come in as dressed up a thing. We've had somebody in kilts dancing around in a kilt on YouTube. So how important do you think it is to show your personality and sort of create these social media videos as well that have got, as you said, viral basically?
Yeah, it is a massive part of it. I know that from talking to people, the only reason they know anyone's names if they aren't really involved with it and don't really know what's going on is they've seen a video on Fab and Fresh, or it's been shared to their timeline. It's such an easy way to get in touch with so many people when a personal one-on-one kind of conversation is the best way. But when we have such a great resource like social media, I know we use it as media groups, you can just get so much more in front of so many more people so quickly, so easily.
We've also seen the sort of increased use of Facebook Live a lot this week, especially with the presidential candidates who have sort of gone around the campus, asked like Q&As on Facebook Live. So I think that's a good way. You also mentioned all the songs that have been created. Parodies. I don't think the singing really matters too much, as in the vocal quality.
It really sticks in your head.
But it really does stick in your head. I think social media definitely will increase next year. Get on top of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and I mean, do you think you could sort of sum up this year, this elections thing, and you think you could sum it up in like a sentence or something? How's it been for you guys? I mean, we know as the media groups it's been crazy.
Yeah, crazy, stressful, long, but worth it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
I mean, yeah, it's been a crazy week. I mean, Storm again. We had Storm Doris last year. Sorry, we've got Storm Emma this year. So there's always some challenges that are thrown to the candidates. So are there any sort of challenges that you think sort of hindered them more this year than it has on previous years?
I think you just touched on it: the snow, the cold. I've seen some candidates out there at like 8:30 in the morning with the snow, with the ice, still campaigning. I think that just shows that they're really dedicated to the role, and I think that will go across with the voters as well. Just that increased presence.
Yeah, the weather's been insane. There's no other challenge than having to stand in -3, -4, and just keep on shouting. And when it's cold, you use more energy to keep warm, and it's exhausting. And people out there doing 12-hour days. It's incredible.
Perfect. Thank you ever so much. So the results are about to be announced. So let's cross live now to the debating hall, where they have just taken the stage.
2018 Officer Team Election Results Night. Over the past few weeks, our amazing candidates have been out and about campus doing everything they can to win your votes. And tonight we will see who the students at the University of Birmingham have picked to represent them for the next year. It feels incredibly surreal to be stood here on the other side of things, knowing that my own journey is about to end, while some of yours are just beginning. Bit louder, come on. At the start of this week, at the start of the process, I told all the candidates that election week was probably one of the best weeks of my life, and I truly meant it. Talking to a load of students about issues that they were passionate about, meeting incredible candidates who were ready to stand up and make a difference, whilst also creating some amazing memories and incredible friendships. However, that's not saying it wasn't tough. I always say that elections is probably the weirdest job interview to ever exist, and this year you even had the added pleasure of dealing with the snow to make campaigning outside all day that much easier. But you all kept going, driven by the desire to make positive change for the students here at Birmingham. The amount of bravery and dedication this shows is incredible. So can we have a massive round of applause for the 2018 officer election candidates and their campaigning teams for all the effort put in this week. The candidates this year are nothing but a great example of all the amazing work the Guild does. This year has been a year of change within the Guild. We're entering a new strategy, which the other officers and myself have truly enjoyed overseeing. The Officer Review created a full-time international officer post, and this is definitely not a coincidence. Widening participation is a phrase which I think I've heard more in the past few months than I will probably ever in my lifetime. Starting with the new postgraduate welcome week to the growth of the Global Buddy Scheme, and now we are here with a great range of candidates, including a 10% increase in the international students running in this election. The Guild belongs to every student at the University of Birmingham, from those who practically live inside the Guild to those who've never stepped inside the building, and it's great to see this recognised in the range of candidates and policies we've had to vote on this year. But as brilliant as you all are, unfortunately, not all of you can win. However, you have all had a huge impact on the Guild and the thousands of students we represent. Your manifestos have brought new ideas to the table, getting students to talk and think about things which they're passionate about. And who knows, maybe next year, one of them will be sat in this very room because you have inspired them to believe that they could make a difference. And they can. Everybody has the ability to make change. So no matter what happens in this election, every candidate should be so proud of themselves for standing up to make a difference. And that in itself could be the start of the change you want to see. And now for some thank yous. Firstly, I have to thank the estates team at the university. They work so hard to keep everything beautiful on campus, even with the current building site that's been placed upon it. But every year they permit candidates to get creative and decorate the university with all our campaigning materials, so thank you to them. To the academic staff who give candidates extensions, let us do lecture shout-outs and help promote the elections to their students. We are so grateful for your help towards making this a great success. I also want to thank the amazing media groups who are currently sat in the back and all around the room. Your coverage of the candidates and the elections overall has been fantastic. This process would not be the same without you. Your professionalism is made all the more impressive by the fact that you're volunteers balancing this with your degree. So Red Brick, Guild TV, MedSock and Burn FM, thank you for everything you've done. I really appreciate it. Thank you to NUS and Ben Whittaker for acting as this year's nominated returning officer. All your help and guidance is greatly appreciated. And finally, I have to give a big thank you to the entire Guild organisation. None of this would be able to happen without the passion and dedication of the staff behind the scenes. Everything would honestly be a disaster without your knowledge, commitment, and occasional motivational speeches for whenever I was feeling down. So can we give a big round of applause for all our amazing Guild staff? Before I finish, I want to give some personal thank yous. Ollie, I do not envy your job this week. If you've had an email from elections, it was probably from Ollie. Thank you for everything you've done, and to the rest of the Student Voice Department for the part you've played too. To everyone in communications and marketing, thank you for all the work you put into this election. Turnout would be nothing without you, and congratulations on creating some promo that Rose Bennett, probably the most pickiest officer when it comes to branding, has finally described as cool. To Adam Sheridan, thank you for overseeing this whole election and giving me the really needed pep talks for when I sometimes didn't think I would go on. Jo, you are the reason this organisation is such a success, and she probably may kill me for this, but today is Jo's birthday. So can we wish her a massive thank you and happy birthday? You are fabulous. I could not go on without thanking the officer team. I promise I will try to be less stressed from now on, but I couldn't have got through this without you at all. From the very beginning, you've been so supportive, and I honestly just love you all. I'm really sad that in 6 months I won't be able to spend every day with you guys, but we'll make it work somehow, I'm sure. Long-distance relationships are fine. And finally, to Lucy Gill. This year has been an interesting one for the both of us. I think you are a superhuman. I don't know how you do what you do, and I hope that one day I'm as organised as you are. You've been the most amazing support to me. This election would have been so different if you weren't here, and I would have been an absolute mess. So thank you for everything you've done. I really appreciate it. So, I can now confirm that the total number of votes for this year's elections were, keep going, 8,160. I would now like to invite Ellie Keeler onto the stage. Ellie is going to read the speech for the academic registrar, as unfortunately due to weather conditions, he cannot be here this evening. So Ellie, would you come onto the stage, please?
Hello everyone, yes, I'm going to do the slightly boring part. So good evening. On behalf of the Academic Registrar, I am pleased to represent the returning officer for the Guild of Students. The Guild of Students is a fantastic student body which represents students from all walks of life at the University of Birmingham. In addition, the Guild provides advice to support students in need, a place to find part-time employment, join clubs or societies, and have fun and safe social nights out. Through the strong leadership of its officer team, the Guild has made great impact to enhance the experience of students studying here. So far this year, the Guild has worked with students to campaign against sexual harassment through the Not On campaign, holding student-led workshops on consent, and a very successful Reclaim the Night event. It's also developed the More Than a Degree campaign, which is an ongoing drive to encourage students to get involved with activities alongside their degrees. This enables them to experience more of what university life has to offer. The Guild has held a Vice-Chancellor's question time, allowing students to quiz the Vice-Chancellor on a range of issues from campus developments to mental health provision. They've launched a new postgraduate website to ensure that all students can feel part of the Guild, conducted a full review to the officer team, leading to the introduction of a new international officer, which we will be electing for the first time tonight. These are just a few examples of the great work being done by the Guild and its officer team. The current Guild officer group should be congratulated on their professionalism and strong leadership of the Guild throughout their term, and I'm sure that your remaining time in office will be filled with many more achievements. However, we are here tonight to announce the Guild officer group who will lead the Guild in 2018-19. This newly restructured team represents an exciting opportunity for the Guild to look forward to the future and to represent all students effectively. I look forward to seeing their achievements in the year to come. Each candidate will be elected tonight on the basis of the changes that they hope to make during their year in office, improving students' lives across campus and beyond, addressing their academic issues, their welfare needs, and their personal development. To all of the candidates, I congratulate you for the hard work and effort that you have put into your campaigns, and I wish you the very best of luck tonight. I would also like to thank the NUS for agreeing to be or to act as the nominated returning officer for our elections, and specifically to Ben Whittaker and the crucial role that he has played in the elections this year. The Guild of Students has found him to be an invaluable source of support and advice, and is grateful to be able to draw upon his knowledge of the student union sector as a whole. I would also like to say a very big thank you to Jess, who this year has acted with complete professionalism and impartiality in her role as the Representation and Resources Officer. Congratulations on a successful election. And now for the official part. Voting in the 2018 University of Birmingham Guild of Students Officer Team elections was held between the 26th of February and the 2nd of March 2018. As the representative for the Registrar and Secretary, who was the returning officer for the Guild of Students, I can state that the returning officer is satisfied that the Guild Officer Team elections for 2018 has been run in a free and fair manner. Any complaints regarding the Guild Officer Team elections 2018 were required to be submitted no later than 2 hours after the close of voting, following a ruling from the nominated returning officer. If any student wished to make an appeal, they were required to do so within 48 hours of the outcome of the complaint being communicated, with the last deadline for appeals being 4 p.m. on Saturday the 3rd of March. Please note that all results announced tonight are thereby provisional until the election has concluded by the returning officer. This will occur after any complaints and appeals has been investigated fully. Results will be confirmed as soon as possible, but no less than 5 working days after the close of ballots. I will now hand back to Jess.
Thank you for that, Ellie. So now, no Guild officer elections would be the same without the Fun Awards, which go to candidates who we feel have stood out during the campaigning process. So the first award is the Copycat Award. This award is presented to Josh Williams and Josh Williams for being 2 people with the same name on campus, but yet still managed to run in the same election for the same position. Could Josh and Josh please come to the stage to collect your certificates? The second award is for the Little Trooper Award. This award is presented to baby Arthur. Everyone knows that it's the campaigning teams that get every candidate through the week. The award goes to the person who has braved the weather for the candidate and has also made everyone smile for the week. So if you are able to, do you want to come on stage and collect your awards? So cute. The third award award is the Viral Sensation Award. This award is presented to Pyang fan Naksuk Paiboon for the nicest Facebook post to probably ever exist in the Fab and Fresh group with just under 800 likes. A special commendation. Oh, thanks. A special commendation also goes to Harry Hall for being the biggest fan of Facebook Lives throughout this election. I think you could single-handedly sponsor Facebook this week. But yeah. The next award is the Dedication to the World of Fashion Award. This award goes to Juicy Lucy. No matter the weather, she always looked fierce. And although I was very concerned about you getting ill, you pushed through, and I know the fashion gods are looking down on you with awe. A special accommodation also is awarded to Simon Price for bringing back the style of the 80s throughout this week. Please come up to the stage and collect your awards. And the final award is the Musical Genius of the Week award. As always, there were multiple campaign videos that kept everyone, certainly myself, entertained throughout the week. The winner of this award is Curtis Collins for some excellent rapping skills, even though I still don't know what you said throughout half that video. A special commendation also goes to Dan Wotton for a cracking video with probably one of the best one-liners I've ever heard. So could Curtis and Dan please come to the stage to collect your certificates? Thank you, and now we will begin the night with the announcement of the results, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. I will now be joined by Rose Bennett, the current postgraduate officer, to announce the results of the part-time officer elections. Oh. They always help. Which way? This way. Okay, cool. Okay. So, the first part-time officer position to be announced this evening will be the anti-racism, anti-fascism officer. The candidates in this election are Jennifer Chu, Janice Jackson, Ramatu Saku, and reopen nominations. There were 5,548 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for this election was 2,771.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Jennifer Chu received 1,277 votes. Janice Jackson received 2,888 votes. Ramatu Saku received 1,215 votes. Reopen nominations received 163 votes. I therefore declare that Janice Jackson is duly elected the Guild of Students Anti-Racism, Anti-Fascism Officer for 2018-19. Please come to the floor.
I'm not good with numbers, so please excuse me if I get them wrong. The second part-time officer position to be announced will be the commuter students officer. The candidates in this election are Jules Singh and reopen nominations. There were 5,327 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 2,663.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Jules Singh received 5,009 votes. nominations received 318 votes. I therefore declare that Jules Singh is duly elected the Guild of Students Community Students Officer for 2018-19.
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone who voted. I look forward to representing the community students of next year. This is the second best thing that's happened to me today because I support Liverpool and they won 2-0 today. So thank you very much, everyone.
The third part-time officer position to be announced will be the Disabled Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Shamima Akhtar and Jay Martin, and reopen nominations. There were 201 valid votes in this election, therefore the quota for election was 105 votes. In the first round of voting, Shamima and Jay received 175 votes. Reopen nominations received 26 votes. I therefore declare that Shamima and Jay are elected to serve jointly as the Guild of Students Disabled Students Officer for 2018-19. I would like to invite Shamima and Jay to the stage. I don't think they're here. Congratulations to them. I'm sure they would like to share some good words with you all, but we will make sure that they get their certificates. Congratulations again. Let's have a round of applause.
The fourth part-time officer position to be announced will be the Ethnic Minority Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Fadauza Ahmed, Caitlin Joseph, Aminat Oniliri, Damilola Olileke, and reopen nominations. There were 333 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 166.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Fadauza got 143 votes, Caitlin received 9 votes, Aminat received 8 votes, Damilola received 162 votes, and reopen nominations received 11 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Aminat, was excluded, with second preference voting being redistributed amongst candidates. In the second round of voting, Fadauza got 144 votes, Caitlin received 10 votes, Damilola received 163 votes, reopen nominations received 11 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Caitlin, was excluded, with the second preference votes being redistributed among the candidates. In the third round of voting, Fadauza received 147 votes, Damilola received 163 votes, and reopen nominations received 12 votes. As the combined value of the votes of the two candidates with the fewest votes did not equal that of the candidate with the highest number of votes, the election was concluded. I therefore declare that Damilola Olileke is duly elected the Guild of Students Ethnic Minorities Officer for 2018-19. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, so I will save her for later.
The fifth part-time officer position to be announced with the LGBTQ Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Saoirse Hughes, Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland, Hugo Snape, Joshua Swanborough, and reopen nominations. There were 615 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 307.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Saoirse Hughes received 186 votes. Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland received 340 votes. Hugo Snape received 16 votes. Joshua Swanborough received 52 votes, and reopen nominations received 21 votes. I therefore declare that Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland are duly elected to jointly serve as Guild of Students LGBTQ Students Officer for 2018-19. I invite them on stage.
we're here today because we're gay. Thank you. Thank you to Keris for making our incredible video. Thank you to the support of Hester for being great for morale in our banner making. And thank you to everyone else who voted for us.
The sixth part-time officer position to be announced will be the Mature Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Lauren Kennedy and reopen nominations. There were 4,543 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 2,271.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Lauren Kennedy received 3,901 votes. Reopen nominations received 642 votes. I therefore declare that Lauren Kennedy is duly elected the Guild of Students Mature Students Officer for 2018-19. I invite Lauren to the stage. Unfortunately, she can't be here tonight, so we'll save this for her for later.
The seventh part-time officer position to be announced will be the Guild of Students' first ever trans students officer. The candidates in this election are Finn Humphreys and reopen nominations. There were 53 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 26.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Finn Humphreys received 42 votes. Reopen nominations received 11 votes. I therefore declare that Finn Humphreys is duly elected the Guild of Students Trans Students Officer for 2018-19, and I invite Finn to stay.
Hi, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who helped make this position a reality, the outgoing officer team in particular, to Lucy, the outgoing LGBTQ officer, all of my love, and also to everyone for voting. Thank you.
The final part-time officer position to be announced will be the Women's Officer. The candidates in this election are Holly and Aleph and Emily Petch, and reopen nominations. There were 1,461 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 730.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Holly and Aleph received 767 votes. Emily Petch received 679 votes. Reopen nominations received 15 votes. I therefore declare that Holly and Aleph are duly elected to serve jointly as the Guild of Students Women's Officer 2018-19. I have come to the stage.
Okay, we'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who voted, and also to the Women Non-Binary Association Committee for picking up the slack for us where we couldn't do our job properly, for campaigning, and also to Holly Campbell, the current Women's Officer, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Lots of love. We love you. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations to all of you guys. We will now move on to the results for the full-time officer positions. Oh, thank you. I will announce the results of the first position. The first full-time officer position to be announced will be the education officer. The candidates in this election are Adam Goldstone, Maximilian Palmer, and reopen nominations. There were 6,345 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for this election was 3,172.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Adam Goldstone received 5,132 votes. Maximilian Palmer received 1,051 votes. Reopen nominations received 162 votes. I therefore declare that Adam Go for Gold Goldstone is duly elected the Guild of Students Education Officer for 2018.
I'm not great with words. Clearly, I'm better at campaigning. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who voted. Thanks to everyone who helped making banners and then putting them up in the freezing cold. Thanks to everyone who ran the election. I suppose being an officer, you see how much hard work goes into it. It was frustrating not being able to help at all. But a lot of work goes into it, so thanks, guys. And yeah, I'm just excited for another year. So, thank you.
My last one, and then I'll go sit down. The second full-time position to be announced will be the postgraduate officer. The candidates in this election are Alice Matthews and Jessica Small, and reopen nominations. There were 5,314 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the initial quota for election was 2,657 votes. In the first round of voting, Alice Matthews received 1,831 votes. Jessica Small received 3,343 votes. Reopen nominations received 140 votes. I therefore declare that Jessica Small is duly elected the Guild of Students Postgraduate Officer for 2018-19. I invite Jessica to the stage.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say. This is crazy. First thing, I'm definitely getting really old because this was way harder than the first time I did this. Secondly, a shout out to my campaign team, Izzy, Priya, Rob, Scott. I love you guys. And also my sister, Vicky. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be the activist I am today. And lastly, Alice, you're an amazing competitor. You kept me on my toes. Shout out to you as well. Thank you, guys.
The third full-time position to be announced will be the International Officer. The candidates in this election are Charlie Mohammed Afzal, Namrata Ramchandra Bor, Mirabelle Chu, Abubakar Garo, Sam Kocheri Clement, Chad Moss, Piangfan Naksuk Paboon, Old Jojo, Yachun Yang, Yang Yang, and reopen nominations. There were 6,088 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 3,044 votes. In the first round of voting, Charlie Mohammed Afzal received 106 votes. Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 744 votes. Mirabelle Chu received 607 votes. Abubakar Garo received 294 votes. Sam Kocheri Clements received 125 votes. Chad Moss received 291 votes. Piangfan Naksuk Paboon received 717 votes. Old Jojo received 2,554 votes. Yachun Yang received 331 votes. Yang Yang received 270 votes, and reopen nominations received 54 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, reopen nominations were excluded, with the second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the second round of voting, Charlie Mohammed Afzal received 106 votes. Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 744 votes. Mirabelle Chu received 607 votes. Abubakar Garo received 294 votes. Sam Kocheri Clements received 125 votes. Chad Moss received 291 votes. Piangfan Naksuk Paboon received 717 votes. Old Jojo received 2,559 votes. Yachu Yang received 331 votes. Yang Yang received 271 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Charlie Mohammed Afsil, was excluded with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the third round of voting, Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 747 votes. Mirabel Chu received 609 votes. Abubakar Garro received 297 votes. Sam Kocheri Clements received 128 votes. Chad Moss received 293 votes. Piang Van Naksuk Pabun received 712 votes. Ojojo received 2,569 votes. Yachan Yang received 334 votes. Yang Yang received 273 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest number of votes, Sam Kocheri Clements, was excluded with second preferences being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fourth round of voting, Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 754 votes. Mirabel Chu received 611 votes. Abubakar Garro received 299 votes. Chad Moss received 298 votes. Piang Van Naksuk Pabun received 715 votes. Ojojo received 2,576 votes. Yachan Yang received 335 votes. Yang Yang received 277 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Yang Yang, was excluded with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fifth round of voting, Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 764 votes. Mirabel Chu received 615 votes. Abubakar Garro received 303 votes. Chad Moss received 305 votes. Piang Van Naksuk Pabun received 719 votes. Ojojo received 2,601 votes. Yachun Yang received 350 votes. That's it. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Abubakar Garro, was excluded with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the sixth round of voting, Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 773 votes. Mirabel Chu received 640 votes. Chad Moss received 315 votes. Piang Van Naksuk Pabun received 724 votes. Ojojo received 2,615 votes. Yachan Yang received 359 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Chad Moss, was excluded with second preference voting being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the seventh round of voting, Namrata Ramchandra Bor received 799 votes. Mirabel Chu received 648 votes. Piang Van Naksuk Pabun received 733 votes. Ojojo received 2,633 votes. Yachun Yang received 374 votes. As the combined value of the votes for the four remaining candidates with the fewest votes did not equal that of the candidate with the highest number of votes, the election was concluded. I therefore declare Old Jojo is duly elected as your Guild Students International Officer for 2018-17. I invite Joanne to stage.
I'm very honored to become first full-time international officer. I'd like to thank my campaign team, my housemates. They're sitting at the back. Thank you for coming through this. This is very nervous. Thank you for coming through all this together, and all my friends, including my campaign team and my family, and also the candidates. And thank you, Piang Fan, for being the greatest competence. We've been cheering each other through this, and thank you for being there. And thank you for the supporters for voting. I'll keep it short. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll be representing all the international students and the UOB students who are going on the year abroad. I'll be I'll make sure their voices are heard within the guild. Thank you.
I now would like to invite Shannon Farmer, Current Activities and Development Officer, to announce the results of the next position. Thank you for that. Oh. Hi. Okay. Oh God, I can't see it. I'm so sorry. The fourth full-time position to be announced will be the Activities and Employability Officer. The candidates in this election are Captain Collins, Robin Your Vote, Matthew Mayer, Swipe Right for Rach, Federico Fred Urcioli, and reopen nominations. There were 6,595 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for the election was 3,297.5 votes. In the first round of voting, Captain Collins received 1,275 votes. Robin Your Vote received 2,377 votes. Matthew Mayer received 327 votes. Swipe Right for Rach received 1,154 votes. And Federico Fred Urcioli received 1,387 votes. Reopen nominations received 75 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach a determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, reopen nominations, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the second round of voting, Captain Collins received 1,278 votes. Robin Your Vote received 2,379 votes. Matthew Mayer received 327 votes. Swipe Right for Rach, 1,156 votes. And Federico Fred Urcioli with 1,390 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Matthew Mayer, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the third round of voting, Captain Collins received 1,298 votes. Robin Your Vote received 2,406 votes. Swipe Right for Rach received 1,170 votes. And Federico Fred Urcioli with 1,415 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach a determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Swipe Right for Rach, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fourth round of voting, Captain Collins received 1,377 votes. Robin Your Vote received 2,605 votes. Federico Fred Urcioli received 1,505 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach a determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Captain Collins, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fifth round of voting, Robin Your Vote received 2,895 votes. Federico Fred Urcioli received 1,677 votes. I therefore declare that Robin Your Vote is duly elected as the Guild of Students Activity and Employability. I don't really know what to say. Just thank you so much to my campaign team. Like, they were my absolute rocks. They came out in like pouring down of snow. It was so cold. Like, thank you to Tom. He took a week off work to campaign for me. Just thank you for everybody for voting, and thank you for the whole elections team for like putting on such a good week and making it so fun for everybody. So thank you. I now invite Chris Ali, Current Housing and Community Officer, to announce the results of the next position.
The fifth full-time officer position to be announced will be the sports officer. The candidates in this election are Rachel Potter, Simon Says Price, Kate Serious About Sport, Zach Vardy-Viney, and reopen nominations. There were 6,626 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for this election was 3,313 votes. In the first round of voting, Rachel Potter received 871 votes. Simon Says Price received 2,512 votes. Katie Serious About Sport received 1,477 votes. Zach Vardy-Viney received 1,715 votes. And reopen nominations received 51 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, reopen nominations, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the second round of voting, Rachel Potter received 871 votes. Simon Says Price received 2,512 votes. Katie Serious About Sport received 1,478 votes. And turn the page. And Zach Vardy-Viney received 1,716 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Rachel Potter, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the third round of voting, Simon Says Price received 2,620 votes. Kate Serious About Sport received 1,610 votes, and Zach Vardy-Viney received 1,769 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Kate Serious About Sport, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fourth round of voting, Simon Says Price received 2,948 votes. Zach Vardy-Viney received 1,969 votes. I therefore declare that Simon Says Price is duly elected the Guild of Students Sports Officer for 2018-2019. I invite Simon to the stage.
Hi everyone, just like to say thank you to everybody, especially my mate Ivan from Puerto Rico, who edited my really cringy video for me. I love you so much, brother. Thanks to my parents for helping me paint lots of cardboards. I love you to bits, and all of my campaign team who stood out in the freezing cold. I appreciate it so much. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Well done, Simon. I now invite Henny Green, the current welfare officer, to announce the results of the next position.
The sixth full-time officer position to be announced will be the Welfare and Community Officer. The candidates in this election are Juicy Lucy, Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave, Joe No Gimmicks Cooper, Emily Wonderwiggo Wigson, Josh, Josh Williams, and reopen nominations. There were 6,454 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 3,227 votes. In the first round of voting, Juicy Lucy received 1,069 votes. Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 1,966 votes. Joe No Gimmicks Cooper received 464 votes. Emily Wonderwiggo Wigson received 794 votes. Josh received 1,507 votes. Josh Williams received 590 votes. Reopen nominations received 64 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, reopen nominations, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the second round of voting, Juicy Lucy received 1,071 votes. Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 1,968 votes. Joe No Gimmicks Cooper received 465 votes. Emily Wonderwiggo Wigson received 794 votes. Josh received 1,507 votes, and Josh Williams received 590 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Joe No Gimmicks Cooper, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the third round of voting, Juicy Lucy received 1,107 votes. Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 2,018 votes. Emily Wanda Wigston received 813 votes. Just Josh received 1,540 votes. Josh Williams received 611 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Josh Williams, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fourth round of voting, Juicy Lucy received 1,139 votes. Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 2,067 votes. Emily Wanda Wigston received 835 votes. And Just Josh received 1,593 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Emily Wanda Wigston, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the fifth round of voting, Juicy Lucy received 1,223 votes. Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 2,186 votes. Just Josh received 1,647 votes. As no candidates received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Juicy Lucy, was excluded, with second preference votes being redistributed amongst the other candidates. In the sixth round of voting, Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave received 2,504 votes, and Just Josh received 1,807 votes. I therefore declare that Izzy Busy Bee Bygrave is duly elected the Guild of Students Welfare and Community Officer.
I just really want to thank Ellie and Sid, the best campaign team a girl could ask for. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate all the support. Thank you, everyone.
I now invite Ellie Keeler to the stage to announce the results of the final position, that of Guild President.
Okay. So, the final position to be announced this evening will be that of the President. The candidates in this election are Krispy Kreme Burnett, Harry Hall, Reese's Pieces, Dan Woot Woot Wotton, and reopen nominations. There were 7,076 valid votes in this election. Therefore, the quota for election was 3,538 votes. In the first round of voting, Krispy Kreme Burnett received 1,759 votes. Harry Hall received 1,493 votes. Reese's Pieces received 2,250 votes. Dan Woot Woot Wotton received 1,467 votes. Reopen nominations received 107 votes. As no candidate reached enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes was excluded. Reopen nominations, with second preference votes being re-established between the other candidates. In the second round of voting, Krispy Kreme Burnett received 1,761 votes. Harry Hall received 1,499 votes. Reese's Pieces received 2,260 votes, and Dan Woot Woot Wotton received 1,475 votes. As no candidate received enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Dan Woot Woot Wotton, was excluded, the second preference votes being redistributed amongst the candidates. In the third round of voting, Krispy Kreme Burnett received 1,870 votes, Harry Hall received 1,650 votes, and Reese's Pieces received 2,443 votes. As no candidate reached enough votes to reach the determined quota, the candidate with the fewest votes, Harry Hall, was excluded, with the second preference votes being redistributed among the remaining candidates. In the fourth round of voting, Krispy Kreme Burnett received 2,113 votes. Reese's Pieces received 2,753 votes. I therefore declare Reese's Pieces, Reese Patrick Roberts, is duly elected as the Guild of
Jesus Christ. I need to watch what I say. Everyone knows that I've got a bit of a swear to me. I do want to say, first of all, thank you to my campaigns manager, Anna Griffiths, all those who helped me. Most importantly, thank you to my parents, Tracy Young, Michael Somerville. I wouldn't be the man that I am today without them. I say that from the bottom of my heart. To Harry Hall, to Daniel Wooten, you've put up an absolutely fierce campaign. Congratulations, you really campaigned hard. That comes from the bottom of my heart. Most importantly, to everyone who stood in this election, to the people that want to make change, it takes so much guts to stand up and say that you want to make a difference on this campus. Birmingham is a great place, and it takes so much courage for you guys to stand up and say that you want to better this campus. Congratulations to those who stood in particular, because you have made this election for everyone and everyone at this university. And thank you, Birmingham, for electing me. 2 years ago, I would never expect to be here, and I really want to make the positive change. No matter if you're here for 3 years and you want to use the Guild of Students for Fab and Fresh to get mucked up on a Saturday night, or if you want to use the Guild of Students as a place where you can make the best friends of your life to be able to get the support that you need, there is a Guild of Students for everyone, and I want to make sure that you get the best out of your time at university. Thank you so much.
I'm now going to hand back to Jess to close the elections.
So, that concludes the announcement of the results of the 2018 Guild Officer Team elections. Can we please give a warm round of applause to all candidates for their hard work and campaigning over the last 5 days. Congratulations to all of the winning candidates. On behalf of the current officer team, I wish you the best of success and the most fun year of your lives, because it was for me. Thank you all for coming. Safe journey onwards, if that's to Fab or home. Good luck getting home in the snow, I suppose. Thank you all for coming tonight, and we will see you next year. Can I ask that all the winning candidates come to the front for their official photograph? Thank you, everyone.
Hello and welcome back to the studio. We've just gone through all of the results for tonight's thing, and I'm joined here by Erin, who we're going to talk to really quickly in a second. But firstly, we're just going to go quickly to the candidate board just to run through all of the winners. So first up, we have the anti-racism and fascism part-time staff. So we have Jennifer Chu, Janice Jackson and Ramato Saku. And our winner for that one was Janice Jackson. Congratulations, well done. Okay, so for our next one, we have the commuters part-time officer. And with the only one that was running for that one, we have Jules Singh as the winner. Okay, then we have the disabled part-timer. So we had Shamima Akhtar and Jane Martin running in parallel, and they are also the winners of that position. Then we're going to the ethnic minority students officer, as the ethical and environmental officer, had no nominations. So for the ethnic minority officers, we have Fardawa Ahmed, Caitlin Joseph, Aminat Onileri, and Damila Oileke. And the winner of that position is Dami Oilere Oileke. So congratulations there for you. Then we're heading next to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and queer students officer. So running for that position was Sorcha Hughes, Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland in parallel, Hugo Snape and Josh Swanbro. So the winner of that one was, in parallel, Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland. Then we have the mature students part-time officer, and Lauren Kennedy was the only one running for that position, so she has won that position. Congratulations. Then we are heading to the trans student part-time officer, and again, the only winner was Finn Humphreys there, so congratulations. Then the last part-timer we're heading to is the women's officer. So the women's part-time officer was run by Holly and Alif and Emily Pitch, and the winner is Holly and Alif. Congratulations there for you. Then we're going to head to the full-time positions. So first up, we have activities and employability officer. So we have Curtis Collins, Robin McPherson, Matthew Meyer, Rachel Tyndall and Frederica Achuli. And the winner for that one is Robin McPherson. Congratulations there. Next, heading on to the education full-time officer, we have Adam Goldstone and Maximilian Palmer. And the winner for education officer is Adam Goldstone. Next, we're heading to the international officer with all 10 of the candidates. So we had Mohammed Afzal, Namrata Boyer, Mirabel Chu, Abu Bakar Garu, Sam Clement, Chad Moss, Piang Fang Naksuk Paiboon, Chu Won Park, Yaichul Yang, and Yang Yang. So the winner of the international one was Cho Park, or otherwise known as Old Jojo. Next up, we have the postgraduate full-time officer. So running, we had Alice Matthews and Jessica Small. So for that position was the winner was Jessica Small. Congratulations there. Then we're going to head into the full-time sports officer. So the people running for that position were Zach Viney, Rachel Potter, Simon Price and Kate Seary. So our winner was Simon Price, or Simon Says Price, as he's been known for this week only. Then we're going to head to the welfare and community officer, where the people that were candidates for that position was Joshua Williams, or just Josh as he has been known, Lucy Blochroder Baker, Izzy Bygrave, and Emily Wigston and Joe Copper. So the winner for the welfare and community officer was Izzy Bygrave. Then, and the last one, and certainly the most important one, was the Guild President, who is now going to be leading the Guild of Students for the next year, possibly more because they can be re-voted in. So the candidates were Chris Burnett, Harry Hall, Reese Roberts and Dan Wotton. So the winner and the new president of the Guild of Students for the 2018-2019 academic was Reese Roberts. So congratulations to all of the candidates this week, and congratulations to the people that have won. So we're going to go to Erin. How did you think tonight went? Any shocks? Any happy for anyone? How do you think it was overall?
I think it was really interesting results in terms of what we were discussing earlier about policies and about personality. I think the one that really stood out for me was the international officer. You have 10 candidates running, you really need to get yourself out there. And the candidate that won had a big campaign. She wore a sort of cardboard replica of Old Joe on her head. You get your name out there. And especially if you're running for a position with quite similar policies, it's definitely about that sort of persona you portray. In terms of the presidents, it was quite a shock, I think, in the room that Chris scored quite high because of his campaigning was quite minimal this week in comparison to Harry and Dan. So I think that was another surprise, but of course Reese winning in the end.
Yeah, so Reese is our current president. So how do you think he's feeling right now upstairs after the elation of what's just happened?
I imagine he's very excited. In his victory speech, he was quite shocked, as I think anyone would be, and just really excited for the year ahead. So.
And we had quite a few close calls. So, I mean, with international, there was 10 candidates, and we had to go through individually because it was so close.
Yeah.
How do you think all they were feeling or sat there when it was going through name by name, taking them off? It was quite a nerve-wracking thing just down here in the studio, no matter upstairs in the debating hall.
Absolutely. A lot of the roles, they only went through one round because there was one sort of standout candidate. Yeah. But that was definitely one of the cases in which there were so many rounds going on and on and on and on that, as you say, the pressure was ramping up. I can't imagine what the candidates were feeling. But of course, Cho was successful in the end, which you could have guessed from the start because she had like, for the first round, she had many more votes than everyone else. But of course, nothing is certain until you've reached that round. I think it was the 7th round.
Yeah, so it went through nearly everyone. It was, and there was not just that one. There was a few other candidates that we had to go through quite a few number of rounds and eliminating the last one.
Yeah.
So it was quite a tense time, really.
Absolutely.
So I mean, could you just sum up the whole process? I mean, we had loads of different speeches, and unfortunately, we had the one person that couldn't make it for weather. And it was like happy birthday to someone as well.
Yeah.
So it's been elections week.
Yeah.
So how do you think it? Any sort of high points, any sort of interviews or people that had talked about that you thought was really good?
I think personally it was surprising the pace of the results tonight. Because of course, as media groups, we've been working on this for months.
Yes.
The fact that it's all over in an hour, sometimes just one round of voting after we've interviewed so many people, after they've campaigned for a week on week. I think it's really interesting how quickly it goes. And now these people just have to cope with the idea that they're going to have a job from now on. And I think that's probably one of the more shocking elements of it.
Yes, I mean, the full-timers now do have a position within a year. So they have a year off from their course, some are in first year, some second years, some even third years, I think. So they've got a year out now to work in this marvellous building at the University of Birmingham, such a huge university compared to universities all the way around the country. So it's quite an important role. So how do you think it is the difference, the culture change between like a student to a full-time student position here?
Well, I can't imagine really. I think most people sort of graduate and then go on to a job. These people are sort of balancing in between, if you know what I mean. So they're partially a student, partially an officer. They sort of need to bridge that gap between having a job and representing students. So I can't imagine how that must feel. I can't imagine any of their emotions right now.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's as we said, it must have been such nerve-wracking in that room with all these people watching and stuff. So it was such a very sort of tight moment. So I mean, we've got all these candidates, and we're going to interview them very shortly. So we'll be meeting people up in the depot hall as well, down here as well, and we're talking to them. So are there any sort of pressing questions you'd like to ask any of the winning candidates so far?
I think the big question for all the candidates is, yes, you've won, your personality was out there, your policies are great. Now it's the next step. Now it's making those sort of actioning those policies.
Is there anyone in particular you want to be asking those questions to, or just like an all general?
I think the welfare and community officer, as it's merged, it'll be interesting to see what Izzy says to that, whether she can actually cope with such a broad remit. So yeah, welfare and community, I think.
Yes, I mean, we're going to have a chat to Izzy hopefully soon as well. Is there anything else you'd like to let them know about? Any other questions about some of their maybe other policies that maybe need a bit more fine-tuning?
I think one of Reece's policies, probably one of the more controversial ones that was mentioned at the presidential debate, was his night bus, which has been something that many candidates have been talking about for years. There's now a walking bus from the library, but he wants an actual physical bus to drive from the library through Selly Oak to the Vale, to Harborne, to Pritchard's, also to Liberty. It'll be interesting to see if he can make that happen. When I interviewed him a few weeks ago, he was very confident. But now, from an idea, it now needs to be realised. So I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that have touched upon that one especially because there are other shuttle buses that run through universities. So there's one to Selly Oak campus, there's one to Liberty Gardens, I think, and a few other places. So it's quite a new thing to include, and a lot of the candidates have brought up about the safety in Selly as like a key factor in most of the welfare people and one of the welfare points. So it must be such a strong thing, and there's been a lot of students on Fab and Fresh complaining about it, and it's something that they've been trying to work on this year as well. So is there any more new ideas that have come from sort of last year's candidates to this year's candidates? Any new ideas? So I mean, we've got the bus. Any others that you think that you remember so far?
Most of the campaigns, from what I remember, are sort of carrying on ideas. So you've got the idea of Safer Selly, which has been going for many years through manifestos. You've got the idea of more study spaces. Of course, Ellie managed to realise many more study spaces by opening up Harding Education, for example. It'll be interesting to see whether they can whether Reese as president can actually open up more study spaces. Because I remember one of Chris's ideas was opening up the Murray Learning Resources Centre. So it'd be interesting to see whether he takes it on board from another candidate. But yeah, in terms of new policies, nothing really strikes my mind right at the moment. But
maybe a bit later on, once we interview the candidates, we might get a few.
Absolutely.
But we've already got one of the guests upstairs, so I'm going to hand over to Charlotte upstairs in the depot with one of our winning candidates.
So we are joined here by Finn Humphreys, who is the first ever trans officer. Finn, how does it feel?
I'm just really proud to have been elected and that the position exists in the first place. I'm really
Why do you think it's important that this position's been created in the Guild?
I think with the existing LGBTQ officer, while people have always done their absolute utmost to represent the whole community, I think there have always been gaps. There's only so far one person can go, and having someone else to specifically represent trans and non-binary people is really important.
Yeah, definitely. And what are you most excited about for this next up-and-coming year? Like, have you got any policies that are really excited to implement?
I'd really like to work on making the campus as a whole much more inclusive and safe for trans people specifically. I'm hoping to create a campaign to sort of challenge misconceptions and microaggressions that most trans students do face on a day-to-day basis, and I'm really excited to get started.
So talk to us about the campaign process. What did it involve? Would you recommend any other people that are wanting to go for part-time officers, would you recommend them to go for it?
Absolutely. I think it requires a lot of energy and a lot of commitment. I'm lucky enough that obviously trans officer is campaigning to a very specific and smaller community, so I knew exactly who to focus on. But yeah, I really would recommend it. It's a really rewarding process.
And how are you feeling about managing your workload next year in third year, along with all your new responsibilities?
There's a question. I'm confident that I can make it happen. Plus, there's always the support of like welfare, tutors, and departments, and tutors are very understanding, so I'm confident I can make it work.
Will you be celebrating tonight? You got any plans?
Oh, I'm going straight to Gales.
Straight to Gales. Wonderful, Finn. Are you going to be working closely with the LGBTQ officer as well?
Yes, I'll be working with Josie and Jess, who have just been elected as well. I love and respect them both immensely, and I couldn't be happier that we get to work together.
Great, thank you so much, Finn. That was Finn, who's our first ever trans officer, and we're now going back to Elliot in the studio.
Thank you, Erin, so much, Charlotte, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later on with some more candidates. So, Erin, let's quickly talk about the sort of sports officer. So we have Simon. So what do we think about his candidacy so far?
I think it was a really interesting election. I think this was one of the ones where social media played a massive role. Because of course you had Simon with his Simon Says video, and I think one of the other massive, rivals, I suppose, was Zach Viney, who you saw a lot of, and of course Chris Burnett actually endorsed. So I think that was one of the really interesting ones in terms of social media.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can sort of put all his policies together in the future. I mean, he promised gym memberships for all in his campaign video. It'll be interesting to see if that happens.
That's been such a touchy subject because the gym has limited very, very heavily on the amount of students that can get it, and there's a lot of students that have missed out. And for such a new sort of sports centre that spent millions of pounds on and got delayed as well. Yeah. So I mean, that's such a quite big feat to sort of include in your manifesto, really.
Yeah. At the Guild President debate on Monday, a lot of the presidents were actually criticising the fact that it was this massive, very expensive sports centre they ploughed lots of money into that was just too small in terms of capacity, that we couldn't get all the students in there, and that quite a lot of the memberships were going to community. So it'll be interesting to see what Simon does with that.
Yeah, so we have one of our officers here in the studio at the moment. So we're going to introduce Izzy Bygrave, who is the new Welfare and Community Officer. So congratulations. How are we feeling so far?
A bit in shock. I didn't think this was going to happen. Didn't think I had it, but thanks to everyone that voted. Thanks to Ellie and Sid. Best campaign team ever. I don't really know. I'm kind of in shock.
I say it's such an overcome of emotions from being up there and your name being read out and going for everyone as well. So it's something that's really quite scary. Talking a bit about your sort of manifesto points that you've wanted to focus on, is there anyone that you want to focus on first as soon as you get into office?
I think counselling services, not just the services, the alternatives, working with charities external to the uni to provide different forms of counselling, different forms of therapy like CBT, working with like forward thinking, Birmingham Healthy Minds. I think that's really, really crucial at the moment to the uni, and that's the thing I'd definitely start working on first.
Is this on the back up from the university cutting all their welfare things at the moment? So how did we feel about that when that came to light?
I mean, it's not great. It's such a big uni, it's such a prestigious uni, and for them to not be able to provide the support to their students and then sort of not really make it very clear where they can be getting the support because the uni can't provide it, I think was really not great. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, something I really want to start working on.
Okay, and then we talked about waiting times as well. You talked about how to reduce waiting times. Have you got any initial ideas on how you're going to implement that?
Yeah, I think definitely lobbying the uni to get more counsellors, and also just showing people where the alternatives are, like showing them where these charities are will reduce the sort of demand on the uni services, and hopefully in turn that should reduce the waiting times for people that then still want to use the uni services, whereas some people should sort of find other alternatives that they want to go to, and hopefully that will reduce the strain on the uni.
Sounds like you've got some great ideas. And I mean, another important thing from not just your candidacy, but everyone else in the manifestos, we had loads of sort of social media posts and all these funny memes and videos. So I mean, could you quickly brief us on yours and how you felt about yours and what you did as well, because your memes?
So I did a Vine compilation video made by Ellie. She doesn't get all the credit she deserves. People think I made it, but Ellie made it, so everyone needs to give her the credit. And Sid made all my memes as well. So I mean, I didn't really do much of the social media side. It was mostly my campaign team, but yeah, I think the memes were a big hit. Everyone loves memes, let's be honest.
Okay, so and again, congratulations and well done to your candidacy as well. It was so brilliant.
Thank you.
So we're now going to head up to the debating hall with Charlotte, where she's grabbed another candidate.
And we are now joined by old Jojo, who is our new international officer. Old Jojo, congratulations. First of all, just want to say, absolutely loved your hat, saw it around campus. Who made that?
I made it myself, having skills from IGCSE's arts.
Oh, wow. Well, that was really good. I think caught everybody's eye, especially, you know, everyone just loves old Joe. So now, how into the international students officer has been promoted from part-time to full-time role. Why do you think this has happened, and are you, you know, why do you think this is important?
I believe that there is a big population of international students and also a big body of UOB students going on a year abroad, but it wasn't represented well through the Guild of Students, and the voices weren't heard from the uni. So I believe that's why the Guild has made a full-time officer role for international students officer, and previously it was a part-time job, so there was a limited things that the previous part-time officer could do. So I'm looking forward to making a difference now as a full-time officer.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you wanted to start some socials and meetups for international students. What kinds of socials and meetups would you like to organise?
There has been global buddies running on now, but people were saying to me that it was more like one-off thing, that they would come for one visit, but they would not return again. But as I've experienced as Korean Society president last year, I've created cultural socials, for example, cooking cultural food and also just pop meetups. So I just like to create those socials that internationals can meet up and like become friends.
And do you think your role as president of the Korean Society has really helped you in your campaign, and will help you as your officer role?
Yes, definitely. In project management of the long-term campaigning, also social media work, but like a lot of that has been done by my friend Jess, and also public speaking has helped me through with the skills gained from president of Korean Society.
And how did you find campaigning in all this snow, especially with your hat? How did it survive?
It was fun and exhausting as well, because there weren't many students around campus because of snow and the weather. However, many people recognized me with the hat, so it was very honorable. With that, people were like shouting at me, saying, "Oh, that's old Jojo," and like, "Let's take a selfie," and that. And also, other candidates were giving me advices that I should put a strap on, so people it won't be blown by the wind. So that worked.
Well, it seems like you got some great advice. Thank you, old Jojo, our new international officer.
Okay, so thank you ever so much, Charlotte. So we are now joined back in the studio with our full-time officer, Simon Price, our sports officer, and we have our part-time commuter students officer, we have Jules Singh. So how to start with, how was that for you guys upstairs, just?
I'll go first. I'll go first. Yeah, I feel really good. I'm really happy that it had such a high turnout, and I know that all the candidates that were running in the election are going to do a great job in the coming year.
And yourself, Simon, any feelings about all that?
Probably the most stressful time of my life ever. But yeah, it's really good that so many people have voted, like really good turnout, and yeah, just can't wait to get started now.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with you, Jules, if you may, about the commuting officer. So you're the first commuting officer part-time at the moment, it's a new role for this year. What are you going to implement for commuting students for the next academic year?
Well, one of my number one aims is to set up a society for commuter students, because one of the biggest issues that I had at the start of the year was living at home and trying to get involved with Freshers Week, because for a lot of it is going out late at night clubbing, but then I think it would have cost me £40 to get back where I live 10 miles away from here in a taxi, so I want to try and set up some sort of support network to be able to integrate commuter students more in university activities.
Sounds great.
We were just discussing, Simon, earlier on about one of your key policies, which is about gym memberships. So I was just wondering, how feasible is it and how quickly you're going to get this in motion?
It's something that would be tricky to sort. So obviously, you can't offer over 30,000 gym memberships. There's not over 30,000 treadmills in our gym. But it's something that I really want to negotiate to make sure that students are being prioritised at our sports centre, and also in terms of the amount of membership options available. So at the moment there's options to pay for a year or pay for a term. But so many people want to go and just be fit for a month, which currently people can't actually do, so that's something I really want to make possible.
Yeah, and I mean, touching on that, you've got these timetabled sports sessions that you're running, so we've got these tri-sports things as well that you want to introduce.
Yeah.
But a lot of these we have timetables that vary depending on what course, so medical students are in all the time, whereas the students aren't in so much. How are you going to sort of combat this and working with the university timetables?
It's all about making options available to everybody. So at the moment, some of the sessions just kind of run purely like in the day, whereas I live with two physios, so I know that when they're on placement they come back at ridiculous times of the night and leave at ridiculous times in the morning, so I kind of want to make sure that there are options at whatever time of the day, so that whoever you are, whatever you're studying, you can have an option to actually play a sport.
And sort of moving on to your campaign, if you may, are you going to miss running around in your outfits and everything? Because I mean, it's been such a huge part of your campaign this year.
I loved it.
Absolutely not. Like, them socks got washed for the first time today in about 2 weeks. And the moment I put them in the washing machine, oh my gosh, it's such a relief. And every single morning when I was waking up, looking in that basket at my costume, it kind of filled me with dread of how cold I'd be. But no, it'd be a relief to be back to Simon Price, not Simon Says Price.
I can't get that song out of my head now.
And Jules, in terms of commuter students, of course, a really big section of the community. Do you think that now it's been sort of created as a part-time role, do you think in the future it could be a full-time role?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think so. I think with the introduction of the international officer being introduced as a full-time position, I think it could happen for any of the part-time roles, not just commuter students.
Cool. Okay, and we've mentioned bits of your manifestos each. What's the most important thing that you want to sort of introduce as soon as you get into office in the next 2 weeks or so? Is there anything you really think needs improving straight away?
One thing that I really want to push for, and it's something that I've tried to keep consistent throughout my campaign, I know a lot of the welfare guys have tried to really push, is engaging Birmingham sport with mental health. And that I want to do through events, I want to do through just welfare training, through committees, through the sports. Yeah, that's something that I really want to push from the very beginning.
And yourself, Jules?
I think something that I want to get done straight away is a guide for commuter students. I know for myself at the start of the year, I didn't feel like I had a lot of guidance on how to successfully
be a university student while also living at home. So I want to use my own experiences and speak to current commuter students to find out what's best for the coming year.
Okay, so again, thank you both ever so much for joining us in the studio today. Wish you all the best for the next few weeks and going into your leadership. We're going to head up to Charlotte upstairs now for me, who has Adam Goldstone up there with them.
Thank you, Elliot. We are now joined by Adam Goldstone, who's been re-elected as the Education Officer, winning over 5,000 of your votes. So, Adam, what does it feel like to be voted in as Education Officer for a second term?
I don't really know what to say. I'm excited. Just happy to, I really like the job. I'm just happy to continue with it, I guess.
Why do you think you were re-elected? What policy do you think stood out to the students?
I don't know. People care a lot about timetabling. People care a lot about study space. I don't really know. Thank you.
What you seem to be very popular. What policies will you be building on from last year? Do you have any in particular that you want to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I've still got 3 months left with this lot, so there's still stuff I've got to do. I'm still using the words study and space in every sentence, I'd say, so...
And how will already having a term, do you think, or already having this whole year as Education Officer help you?
I mean, hopefully it means that the contacts that I've built up, the knowledge of the role, I mean, it takes a really long time to sort of come to terms with it all, so hopefully that'll come in handy, yeah.
What do you want to instigate from a more personalised academic experience? So this is something you talked about in your manifesto.
Yeah, I guess most people have personal tutor meetings. Some people don't feel like they get as much out of them as possible. I'd like to give them more structure so people do get as much out of them as possible, and give more support to academic societies, because when they work well, it's really, really good.
Great, sounds good. And so how will you be celebrating tonight? Are you going to have any big celebrations with your friends, because it's a second time being re-elected?
Yeah, I mean, I am going to Fab. Who knows how long I'll stay there. It'll be the first one in a while. That's it, really.
So we have a question here. Not all students enjoy personal tutor meetings, as we've heard from feedback. So will the personalised academic experience force these students to have more tutorials? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think we should force students to go and seek out their personal tutors?
I'm not proposing forcing anything else. I'm just kind of proposing that the model that we have at the moment, making better use of it, because if it's going to be in your timetable, you might as well get the most out of it as possible. So there won't be a change to the demands on time, just kind of how useful it is.
Yeah. And were you feeling as nervous this time as you were last year?
No, I was a lot more relaxed this year. Yeah, I guess because I've done it before, it just felt less scary this time, I suppose.
Well, thank you very much and congratulations again. That is Adam Goldstone, Education Officer, and now I'll go back to Elliot.
Thank you ever so much, Charlotte. We're just going to quickly run through all of the winners just so that we've got everyone. So our first part-time officers, we have for the anti-racism and anti-fascism, we have Janice Jackson. Then we have the commuter students, so we have Jules Singh. Then disabled student officer Shamima Akhtar and Jay Martin. Then the ethnic minority, we have Damimil Olikeke. And for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and queer part-time officer, we have Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland running in parallel. Then we have the mature officer students, so we have Lauren Kennedy. For the trans student, we have Finn Humphreys. And for the women's officer, we have Holly and Alith. Then running through our full-time officers, through activities and employability, we have Robin McPherson. Then education, Adam Goldstone. Then international, Cho Park. Postgrad officer is Jessica Small. Then we're into sports is Simon Price. Welfare and community is Isabel Bygrave. And running into our last presidents, we have Reese Roberts. Okay, so we're going to go to Robin McPherson here at the moment, who is now, well, I mean, you've got an officer role. How does it feel about it so far?
Really surreal. It just doesn't feel like it's really happened yet, but I'm really happy. I can't believe that everyone's voted for me. I'm so grateful.
I mean, there was a few tears up there that we saw as well. It was brilliant. So, I mean, was there any sort of high points from your week of campaigning, any low points? How's it been for you as a campaigner?
I think probably one of the high points is having my campaign team all out in the cold weather, running around campus. I had people like chasing after me, like, she's robbed my vote. Like, it was just so good to have everybody's like enthusiasm there and like to just feel the support from so many people. Like, it was just great.
And as this year, you're the Activities and Employability Officer rather than Development.
Yes.
What sort of things do you think you're going to do to tackle the employability side of it? Because that's quite new.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be making sure that like people are more aware of the services that they've got available to them. I think a lot of people want to go and talk to someone and want some help, but they don't quite know like who they want to be speaking to and where to find them and how to book themselves in. So making sure that it's way more accessible and way more just easy for people to access.
Okay, and throughout your campaign as well, we worked side by side with Simon Price,
yes,
who is now the sports officer. So how has that been for you as well, running through that?
Oh, it's been so great. Like, literally, I really didn't know Simon very well before. We met through a mutual friend, and he's just such a great guy. He had such a great campaign, and he kept me going like throughout the whole thing, always cheering me up and telling me to keep on going. He's, yeah, such a lovely guy. I'm so glad he got it. I'm so proud of him.
You can feel the love here today.
Yeah.
All the officers are going for each other. And of course, you guys are going to be working as a team, not as a full-time role as well, but part-time. How do you think you're going to sort of go into that over the next sort of coming 3 weeks starting into your officer leadership?
I mean, I'm just so excited to get to know everyone, like hoping that I can work with people. I've really got like postgraduates at the heart of my campaign as well. I want to make sure that they're getting involved with the guild a lot more, so working with those officers as well, and just like working with everybody to keep it going, and working with Simon to just sort out room bookings maybe as well, seeing what we can do to help fix problems for everybody.
Oh, very nice.
You mentioned there the importance of teamwork. Your campaign team, your team with Simon. How are you going to build teamwork within the officer team?
Just like keeping the positivity. I think like I tend to try and be really happy and smiling all the time. Obviously there was such big teamwork in the campaign team, so just hopefully it's something that I can keep the positivity flowing and keep everybody in the team sort of connected and going together and helping each other out.
Oh no, thank you very much for joining us, Robin, and good luck for the rest of your future as well. We're going to head up to Charlotte, who's up in the depot, and she has Jessica Small, who is now our postgrad full-time officer. Charlotte.
Thank you, Elliot. Yes, I'm joined by Jessica Small, who is our new postgraduate officer. Jessica, can you just sum up in a few words, how are you feeling at the moment?
I don't think I can sum that up in a few words. I'm over the moon, of course. It's kind of, I'm not processing it right now. It's all been such a whirlwind this evening that I'm just like, oh my God.
How have you found this past week and all this campaigning? Have you enjoyed it, especially, you know, in these adverse weather conditions? It must have been a bit of a challenge.
It's been really stressful. I mean, I ran one campaign before in Plymouth, and compared to this, it's been really difficult. I mean, the weather did not make it easy at all. And there were some nights where I just wanted to cozy up in a blanket, and I was like, have to keep going. Yeah.
So you were a full-time welfare officer at University of Plymouth, is that right? Yeah, and how do you think that that has prepared you for your new role at University of Birmingham as a postgraduate officer?
Okay, so I kind of know how like guild structures work and stuff like that already, which definitely helps. And it's kind of like I already know how to get stuff done in the university, which is really great. And I don't know, it definitely helped during the campaign week, just knowing what to do, and it helped me get out there a bit more. So that's good.
And what points do you think stood out in your manifesto for postgrads, and why do you think they voted for you personally?
Okay, so I think it's definitely study space is a big issue. I mean, a lot of myself and some of my friends have been fighting over study space in the library constantly, pretty much every day. So that was a big thing for me. Secondly, bursaries was a massive one for me. So I wanted to make sure that postgraduates from low-income backgrounds had bursaries to make it more affordable. I work up to 30-hour weeks at Domino's at the moment while doing my full-time studies, and that's a massive thing for me to make sure that people didn't have to go through that.
Yeah. So are you looking to create more designated postgraduate study spaces? Is that what you're kind of looking to do?
Yeah, so currently in the library there are specific spaces for postgraduate research students, but there's none for postgraduate taught students, and I want to make sure that there's somewhere that postgraduate taught students can go specifically for them, because there isn't any currently.
Okay, so also during your campaigning, especially on social media, you work closely with Federico, Harry and Piang Fan. I just want to ask, why did you choose to run together, and how do you think this benefited you all?
Okay, so I ran alongside Federico because he was my friend from the first day since I moved here. So obviously we were very close, and we were on the committee for Postgraduate Mature Students Association together. So I really wanted to work with him. Obviously it's a shame for me that he wasn't elected. And then with Harry Hall and Piang Fan, I just kind of bumped into them in events leading up to the actual elections itself. And I was like, maybe we should work together, you know, lessen the stress of the week a little bit. So it was nice to have that kind of support system in place throughout the week.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Jessica, who is our new postgraduate officer. Now, I'm sure everybody is so excited to start the new year, and I hope you've all enjoyed listening to our new officers.
Okay, thank you ever so much, Charlotte, for your hard work tonight. We have in the studio royalty, if we may. We have the new current Guild President of 2018. We have Reese Roberts. Reese's Pieces Roberts, congratulations tonight. I mean, how does it feel overall?
It is not sunk in at all. I don't think it'll sink in for quite a while, but I'm really excited to start bringing some material and positive change to the Guild.
I mean, if we may start, we've got all of your manifesto points that you've been hardly working on for the past month and then campaigning for the past week.
Yeah.
Is there any of them that you're most passionate about and want to sort of get involved really, really quickly?
I think welfare immediately. Welfare is a real issue. It's time that the university is not coping. We should stop being reactionary. We need to start being at the forefront of helping this welfare. I'm passionate about it because I myself go for this welfare system. I know multiple of my friends go for this welfare system, and we need to ensure that students are no longer waiting 2-3 months in crisis.
Yeah.
We discussed it earlier on, the night bus is one of your key ideas.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen?
Well, I need to start getting into work. I've already spoke to Johnson's about the two options of whether it's going to be dropping off at certain points or dropping off at addresses. Once when I have a look at the finances, I make the amended timetable to stop the buses going to the Drama Campus and Liberty, to stop the empty ones going, to retain some of that money, to then see how we can then best divert those funds into creating the new service for the library. Hopefully, towards the sort of Christmas period next year.
Okay, and you talked in your manifesto about some student-led campaigns and implementing them. Have you got any sort of examples of them that you'd like to push forward? How are you going to go about doing that?
I mean, we had the campaign where people took coffee and cake into our library, and now we're able to have hot drinks in our library. Promoting stuff like that, when students want to make real change on this campus, but yet the university aren't listening to them, the Guild should be the people that enhances that voice to ensure that they can fight the whole way to improve their university.
Yeah, so also you're going to be working as sort of a huge team towards for the full time. You're going to be leading this team.
Yeah.
So how are we going to sort of go about that starting the next few weeks?
I mean, I've been president of the Politics Society. I've been the NUS delegate. It's all about not being a manager, but it's being a support network. It's ensuring that everyone is at the same level, everyone is being supported. There's no hierarchy in this position. I am no better than anybody else in those positions. I want to ensure that my officers are empowered to make real change, and I think they will because they're bloody passionate about doing it.
I spoke to you several weeks ago.
Yes, you did.
Now, several weeks have gone, lots of campaigning, lots of debating.
Yeah.
How have you changed, do you think?
I've become, already speaking to students, I've always wanted to listen, but I've become so much more paying attention to those little details. I've become so much more involved in what students really want, and I think that's what I really want to continue. I think I've become a much better person, and I think through this position I want to become an even better person, but I want to better the skills and better everyone who gets to experience this great university and this great student union that we have.
And I can tell you're very proud of this university, and you've been studying here for a number of years.
Yeah.
Is there anything from that you're going to sort of bring into your officer position now?
I mean, I'm not third year, I'm a second year, so I'm taking a sabbatical. I've studied 2 courses. I've struggled at this university, and I think this is what I'm really going to bring into the position, is that I'm not some cut-out canvas. I'm very much an individual person, and there's so many individuals on this campus who feel that they don't get their voice heard, and I want to ensure that those who have a tougher time, those who have a great time but just need a little bit more support, are listened to by their president.
Of course, as you say, you're going on a sabbatical now. You're going to defer your year abroad.
Yes.
Was it to Hong Kong?
Yes, I was meant to be. I was meant to be going with my campaign manager, Anna Griffiths, and she even said to me, like, I want to sabotage your campaign so I can stay.
Is she going on her own?
She's now, well, she's going with one of her course mates, Jacob, but she's going on her own. But she's a strong woman. I'm a strong man. I'll miss my best mate. I'll be Skyping her every single night. But
at the end of the day, students and what I love the most is about making change, and sometimes things have to be sacrificed, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
And you talk about all your friends and everyone that's helped you in this campaign. How's it been sort of working with these people and working as a campaign team, and how much have they helped you to win this role?
I mean, I've been, at noon every single day, I thought, I can't go on. I don't even say that lightly. I've really struggled at some points to go. I just don't know how to keep fighting, and it's those friends who go, you know exactly why you fight. And when I hear then people on the doorstep who then say, oh, you've been our politics president, you've helped me meet my best mate, and you've helped me meet this person. It's my friends and those students who keep just saying, keep going. It's really sort of the thing that puts the fire under me and keeps me running.
And a big thing this week has been the snow. We've had Beast from the East, has it been named, and Storm Emma as well. How much has that impacted your campaign?
Oh my God, not at all. I've been kicking about in a t-shirt. Ellie Keller's been saying to me, Reece, put on some more clothes. And I've been like, nah, this is summer for me. I could kick about in sunbathe in that sort of weather. Nothing at all.
I mean, you are dressed in a kilt and you're swanning around in a kilt today. So,
I mean, I'm sweating right now, so you can see that the cold weather does not faze me.
You're definitely not going in Hawaii as well, so can't quite live in Hawaii. So now you've won the position, how are you going to celebrate tonight? What's it going to be for you?
I mean, I've got my free fab ticket. I've got all my wonderful friends who are coming along tonight, so I want to celebrate with them, but I want to celebrate with every student that's going to be there tonight.
And why do you think all of these students have voted for you?
I think because students no longer want some people that tinker around the edges. They really want a student who will take the issues, go straight into the middle and try to make real positive change, and not just something which is doing a little bit of that and doing a little bit of that. Real change.
And I mean, I don't even know where to go from here. Like, you've got such a big year ahead for you. This is going to be your building, as it were. So, I mean, how has it been sort of walking around the past few weeks, knowing that this could be yours?
I've not thought about it. If I thought about it, I'd probably have a breakdown. Now, this is not my building by any stretch. This is the students' building. This is my officers' building. This is the students. This is by no means my building. This is for everyone. This is a space where students can come, feel at home, and I want to ensure that that continues for the rest of my year that I'm in power.
Okay, and what sort of has it been, and what do you hope to bring for the students that you said this is your building now?
What do I want to bring? I want to bring a little bit of that Scottish Iron Brew fire. I want to bring something that's a little bit different, a little bit more quirky, but still delivers something that students really want.
And of course, we've had Ellie as president for 2 years. What do you think you're going to take from Ellie as a leadership model, I suppose? What do you think you're going to take?
Relentless kindness. That's what I say immediately. She is someone that I never met until the general elections, where I stormed into the student voice and I said, I want to put on a hustings. I'm angry with the general election. And that was the first point of contact where Ellie said, I will support you for the entire way. And to have that as someone who is accessible, who's someone who will support you, as someone who will be the biggest supporter of you, I want to ensure that I take what Ellie does so well and to ensure that I'm the biggest supporter of every single student that wants to walk into my office and want to make some sort of change.
Okay, and then lastly, you've completed your campaign process. It's now your role. Would you encourage people for next year to go for other different officer roles? Have you got any hints for them so far?
I want to say, and it's something that I said in my debate, your sexuality, your race, your gender does not hinder what position you go for. If you really want to make some form of change on this campus, all you need to do is have passion, pro plus, couple Red Bulls, and you can go the entire way. I really want to ensure that any student who really does want to make change can do whatever they want.
Well, it sounds like you're ready for this role and you're really up for it. So, I mean, congratulations first off.
Thank you very much.
And good luck the rest of the year. I'm sure we'll be catching up with you soon. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Guild TV as well.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we're going for the last time. We're going to go through the winning candidates from tonight. So for the part-time, we have anti-racism and anti-fascism. We have Janice Jackson. Tour commuter, we have Jules Singh. Disabled student officer, we have Shamima Akhtar and Jay Martin. For ethnic and minority, we have Jamila Oleke. For lesbian, for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and queer, we have Josie Hyde and Jess Rutland. Ethical and environmental, there were no winners. For mature, for trans student officer, we have Finn Humphreys. For mature student officer, Lauren Kennedy. For Women's Officer, we have Holly and Alif. So heading to full-time things, we have Activities and Employment Officer, we have Robin McPherson. Education Officer, Adam Goldstone. International Official, Cho Park. Postgraduate, we have Jessica Small. We have Simon Price, who is our Sports Officer. We have Izzy Bygrade, who's our Welfare and Community Full-Time Officer. And finally is our President, who is, well, the man himself. We have Rhys Roberts. So thank you ever so much tonight, guys, for joining us, and we hope to see you next year. Good evening.